Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back again with some more Emile Bertin stuff. And today we're going to be working on, well, setting this ship's boilers, machinery, and guns up. And that includes secondaries today. So to do this, you need to know the dimensions of your ship's interior. Luckily, I already laid this out with the torpedo defect protection installed. Well, not really installed, but it shows you how big the area is. The boiler rooms are actually fairly good for what we have, and assuming that these are small boilers, which this would be a small boiler right here, but I doubt that these are going to stay this size. I think what I'm probably going to do is something like this for these guys. Then, yeah, so this would be a 9 mag, but I am not going to make that big. So I'll probably do 6 back here, and because this is two sets of boiler rooms. Yeah, these are both going to be 6 mags then. Should give this thing nice 18 mag. It should be fairly fast. I mean, the cruiser itself went. Let me check my information because it's always good. Let us see. Speed 34 knots. So what I might actually do is drop these to 2s. What I can do something like you get the gist. It was going to be a trapdoor there. So, alright, let's get the boilers done first, and I like to have a nice big glass area that I work with for everything. So I come up here, and these both are pretty much center aligned. They're slightly offset. And we're just designing the boilers here. I'm not going to design the layout for these guys yet. I will do the layout for the engine room with the engines, because it's a lot easier, and I need to cram in a lot of stuff. So we'll do that. Alright, so next you want to check what boilers were and what boilers she did use. Pinhole. So I'm going to go to little French water tube boiler. Oh. He's a little different than what I am used to. That is interesting. Alright. But I see how it is. So, these things are fairly decent in size. Give them the width they need to fit all they need to. So, again, for these, you have to make it out of, for the boilers themselves, you have to make them out of class 2.5. And we're going to do this. We might actually do something a little different here today. Because these things looked fairly tall. Yeah, these boilers are fairly tall, and they don't exactly touch the ground. But, yeah, we can make them touch the ground. I like using heavy rivet for my boilers. It makes them look a little more heavy duty. Come here. And these things are shaped kind of interestingly, even for a boiler. So, if I'm looking at this image correctly, and I think I am, they slope up and curve. So maybe these things are fairly tall. And by the way, this over here is one of my builds, so I'm coming over to look for my context of how I did a boiler here. And these are Yarrows. You'll notice they're a little shorter, but these things were a little funky. They were a little, maybe something like this gives it the right shape. And then, because these things were tall looking, and they have a bunch of tubes running in them, which is pretty normal. And I might actually be able to do, that makes sense at least, a big overhead tube, but I'm not going to do that. It looks too big. On a 3, I might do something like a single block, but no. Yeah, these things are a little weird. They also have this. And let me see. Yeah, I would start at the bottom compared to the Yarrows. Oh, wait, I just realized something. I have 15 blocks worth of space to fit these things. Alright, we're going to do this a little differently then. I'm sorry, guys, that I seem to be rambling a little bit, but I am trying to figure out how I want these things to look. And yeah, that's going to work better. So instead of doing what I was doing earlier, ooh, I can even do that. Yeah, because they have these little rounded bottoms. I guess there is another block for that, if I remember, but I'm going to be scrolling forever if I want to bone. Oh, wait. I could use... no. Bad idea. Alright. I was going to use the drive shaft, but it does not look right. I can't do it with the block there. So this is 4 long. A very tall boiler. My boilers are usually pretty short, but these things are pretty tall. I can get rid of that and put the slab there. Yep. And that will funnel into an actual funnel. Or there is one more thing I can do if I want to do this a little differently. Although I'm not sure this is a great idea, so don't try this at home. Button. What I could do... Actually, that's pretty good right there, I think. So here's the boiler we got then. You gotta be able to fit a sign on it. It will probably go on the side, because if I'm looking at these engine room plans, like I am correctly, that is, these things mount against the walls. Yeah, they do. And they have a decent bit of space for them, left for them. Of course, that's how they have a little bit of width left to them, a little bit of width left for the area, so that's going to be nice. And just to finish up, we need the magma in them. There we go. So that's a boiler. We've done it. We've made a boiler. Alright, now time for the hard part. The engines. Now I'll put them at the same level. And once you finish a ship, I recommend that you get rid of this stuff, because it will start spawning... it will spawn blocks over areas. So if I remember, it's 7 wide. I'll check in a sec. That's 8. This area should be 7 wide. 7 wide, and it is 16 long. Ooh, perfect. So now comes the actual hard part. So we get, I'll just put this here as a level for me to know how tall the room is. 6 blocks. So that's not going to count. That's 7. So that's how tall we get. Maximum height of the room. I'm going to lay down a layer of quartz and separate the engines by 1 block. Now these things are going to be 2 mags, and I want to give them a ratio. At least these behind ones, the rear ones, because they're smaller engines. They're definitely way smaller engines. I can fit a lot more detail onto a smaller engine. When it comes to the case of this, and I'm looking at plans right now, and they show kind of what the engines might look like a little bit. So they have their piping coming up from here. So let me get steam pipe. It comes up from here. I don't like it being that close to the hole, actually, so we'll put it here. Yeah, it's going to be there. And you can't always do these things 100% accurate. It just doesn't work. And how I'm going to do these, if I do these like a 2-layer, which I probably will, I'm going to set it up like that. Yep. So I like to do 19.5 engine ratios. They're my favorite ratio to do. So this one will require 39 blocks. Because this is powered by one singular steam boiler. So the entire engine surface, engine blocks, needs to be a total of 39. So you can start by cutting into the hull a little bit. And looking at this plan, these engines are mostly gearbox. Funky. The rear part of the engine does get bigger and go against the wall. And these are lapis blocks, so they're pretty easy to count. So let's count lapis block. 37. My ratio is 39, so I just need 2 more engine blocks. And if I wonder, yeah, I can just do a linkage right there and make that right. Am I already going in the ground here? Yes, I am. Wait, yep. Oh, I know. Alright, so time to make the engine look pretty nice, I guess. These are going to be interesting. I don't usually do engines so tiny when it comes to width. I'm used to doing engines that are a lot more substantial when it comes to their size. And I always give them supports. So this side's also going to have supports, which means you technically can't get back there, but it's actually a step up from my usual stuff where you can't at all. And this is going to be a 2-layer engine deck. So this is 6 blocks tall in total. So I can actually just trapdoor right here if I wanted. But I'm not going to do that. So now you got to make these things look fancy. So to do that, I like to use gray nowadays. My original engines all used to be a different color. They all used to be... Give me a sec. My brain's having a That was a slow start. All my engines used to be white, and then the engines I would make for people would be a different color. They'd all be gray, if I remember. It was a dark gray though. So interestingly enough, right here, this is bigger. It's a big, and I'll probably make this one round instead. And what I'll have it do no, I know exactly. Because this is like a gearbox area, more than anything, I'll make it shorter. And engines are pretty tedious to make sometimes. A lot of the time it's just, hope you do it right. Like, let's see these 3 blocks. I can stealthily fit them over here, so I can redo this. If I need to restore these 6 blocks, which I probably do, because they stick out. Only way they don't stick out is if I wall them like this. Which is fine. That will probably work. And we have a connection here. So what I like to do for these connections is I can actually remove this block because I'm going to do something different. Up here, I'm going to keep a platform so you can access the engine. I like to do it like this. Okay, sorry about that. That will probably get edited out anyway. So anyway, a little bit has changed here. I still don't like how wide this looks comparative to the plans I'm looking at. So I wonder if... because it looks tiny. This engine does not look very big in the slightest. And it also is supposed to leave space over here to walk. Which you can't do unless... ooh, actually, there is a solution. I'm looking at the plans. I notice the 2 engines are like right next to each other, like nearly pressed up against each other. So I know what I can do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift these 3 blocks over here. Shift this over here. And the linkage still needs to be like right here. So what I'll do for that, it still looks like it's attached. If I do something like this, give me a sec, I'll show you what I mean. And yeah, these 2 are going to be attached, so you might as well not waste the resources. But you cannot have them touch, so you're going to do something like this. Yeah. Sorry, that's just 38. Needs to be 39, and yeah, that... I'll probably cut that out. Note to self. Anyhow. You need to have these engines separated. They're not going to work. Otherwise, they're going to be counted as one engine, which is not true. This is a 4-engine ship. So here, the best way to do this is putting a slab here, making that hole. This is a very interesting looking engine compared to what I'm used to. And what I'll do is if I want these to look like they're connected, 40 right there. No, we're not going to keep that. Because they seemingly connect from here, or right here. So what I might do barrel. Let's hope this works, because I've had engines fail because of the barrels. Although this is... actually. Get rid of these 2 blocks. Count the lapis. 36. Meaning I need to add 2 more blocks. Well, that's okay, I can. I'm gonna add 1, 2, 3. That's how these guys are connected, is right there. We're gonna have stairs set up in the middle here. Can access this pipe. And that's center line, so what we'll have is a trapdoor along with another set of stairs. That's a bit weird looking. And under that, I can put a fake engine, because these guys don't work. The gas engines don't. Right there. Beauty. You might say, well, now you see this side. Well, with 37 blocks, which is under the needed amount, granted, I don't have to worry too much. Because these guys are covered up. This is like, can't put anything there anyway. And that should be 38. No. I can get 39 through using valves. I wish there was a better way to separate these two. Something like that, maybe. But it looks a little weird if you don't. So I might actually get... I can separate them, actually, by the use of this. So it looks like it's a line between the engines. And where should my engine control block go? Well, what I'm going to do is have a stairway up, a platform. Oh, wait, I already have a platform. Okay, so I have a platform here. So what I'll do is I'll have a maintenance stairway up. Has to go somewhere. Theoretically, let's say I put one at where it should go right here. I just noticed that. Anyhow, it needs. I'm probably gonna put the engine sign up front. So I want to make a platform right here. Actually, yeah, you can't do it right there because that's the wall, but I can do a... Oh yeah, that can actually just go straight into the engine. This thing's messing me up a little bit. Meaning I can do it a little differently. That gives you full access to the engine room and does not actually have a drive shaft yet. So we need a drive shaft. And I need to vent this in a certain way. So this is how tall we get. It does mean that I can actually do some complex engine piping into a generator, which this ship's going to have 2. And how I'm going to do the steam shaft. Actually, I'm going to do this like it is a angled pipe, so I can throw a generator on a stand back here. And I'm probably going to do a little tiny one. Maybe not. Maybe it's not going to be so tiny. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tiny. So let me grab these. I don't want to make it too small. So what we're going to do is a 4 block, which might be a little too big, but that can be ironed out. Actually, it can be ironed out in a very simple way. By connecting it to the steam shaft from above. And then I should give this a transmission housing, which isn't that hard. How I did it on my last vessel is not going to work for this one, because this one's a little bigger. I'm going to count the lapis again. 40, that's too much. See, it's several blocks too much. It should be 39. Did just give me an idea, though. Because it's a small little transmission housing. Not very big compared to my usual ones. Actually, yeah, I can do that. Sorry if I seem a little indecisive on these engines. I'll try to do something good with them. How much time have I been recording? Just checking this. 29 minutes, that's fine. Alright. And we're going to cover this up. And give it a basic full covering right there. And there's one last thing I need to add, and I think it was some sort of vent I can place behind what I'm going to do here. So, alright. We have 39. I can get rid of one because of this guy. There's going to be a sign right there. I need to flip this over. Yeah, there we get a full engine room with ways to get around the entire thing. No, there isn't. Means I need to add something to get around the entire engine room. Which, lordy me, I have a good way. Come up here. Take a step up. You can technically still get down here. Oh, no, you can't. Ew. Yeah, so there needs to be a way around the entire engine room. That's why I'm adding some stuff real quick. So it's not just completely random me. Ooh. Yeah, and I'm going to start putting fuel in these, if you don't notice, because fuel is really important, and I like to sneak fuel places. So that should be that. So how you get around the entire engine room is through these guys. I wish this had a quartz top, but you can't always choose what you want. And I'm not willing to waste the air displacement from it. So come down here, and at the very back here, what I'm going to add is a workshop and a vent. And how I do my workshops is pretty simple. This one's going to be tiny, but it's going to get the work table at least it's going to get done. And I usually like to curve that, but you can live with the space you have, and you give yourself a tool bench, carpet it over. I like to use lime a lot. You give that entire little work table right there. And this would be a good place for a pipe, which I use lower periscopes for big pipes, and the heads as small pipes. So you can also do something like that. And there's the engine done, for at least the rear engine room. The forward engine room, I'm going to share the gearbox design. Actually, for now, we'll just show you that. We'll just end off on the rear engine. I'll probably work on the forward engine on my own time. But essentially, how you do turbines is, if I want to recap that real quick, you don't want to be too aggressive with the curves. Like these right here make a great rear turbine. Not really transmission housing. These are the transmission housings, but really, well, part of transmission housing, I guess, is either a part of its own room or part of the turbine. Anyhow, my bad. You want to make them a flatter curve, usually. So what I would do for the usual shape of turbine, nowadays at least, is if I want to give it, this is like the front profile. So I'll get a slab, that. If you want to do like a big curve, you do something like that. And then you give it supports. And it just looks a little cleaner. It doesn't look too aggressive like these curves do. Although, from what the plans I was looking at, that was kind of how they were. Alright, so next I will actually have to look at some 3D models to do these. But I will do them all the same. And these are going to be the main guns. Which, again, 3D models help a lot with making main guns. And I'm probably going to make these at the same level. And I need a... yeah, that kind of turret ring. And I don't build these on glass. I build these on a white top. It's more of a tradition thing. It has nothing to really do with size or anything. I come over here, and I get the turret ring, so I'm going to need riveted heavy rivet. That's usually what I make my turret rings out of. And now I'm going to have to go look at a 3D model, which I know it's not very helpful, but I'll show you anyway. Okay, so looking at the model, which I'm not going to show, I'm sorry, I'm not a good editor. The turrets have a flat front, flat sides, actually extremely flat sides. They don't slope at all. Curved rear, and the top has two different variants based on if it has rangefinders or doesn't. All right. So first thing I will notice is it has a lip. So to do these turrets, I'm going to make them out of gunmetal. You're going to notice that I'm about to clear out my entire inventory to do these. And another notable trait is they do have a curve on the top. What I mean by curve, it's not really a curve, it's kind of like an angle from the side of the turret. So the turret's going to be facing, the front of the turret's going to be facing this way. Alright. So these things have a very moderate front slope. Isn't actually all that hard to do. And they kind of curve on these cheeks, which is pretty normal to curve the cheeks. And they come down, they come back, I would say, 2 blocks from the ring. And that's not the right shape, by the way. The right shape is something like this. Although the curve isn't that pronounced, so if you want to not pronounce it as much, because granted these turrets have these turrets still have decent overhang, but to decrease the amount of pronounce, you do that and you do trapdoors. Or you can do it like that to increase it. There's a couple ways you can change how pronounced a rear curve is. And I use walls a lot too to do a rear curve, so I'll grab a wall and do it like that. These are probably going to be 1 block tall anyway. It does give me an idea. What if... That doesn't have much of an overhang there, but... I'm sorry that... There's a lot of experimenting with turrets, specifically. When I do my turrets, I just want to see how it looks from the side. Yeah, that's actually a decent amount of space. Interesting. And these are probably going to be 9x9 turrets. You kind of have to do 9x9s for triples. And let's see, they have the Baltimore style front curve. So that. And I have a turret plot, but I'm not going to check it. Yeah, there we go. Means I do have to put something right there. Since these are 6-inch turrets, these guns might look a little short. The turrets themselves kind of look short, which is why I might revert to this. The curve isn't right. That's... Oh yeah, I forgot I could do that. Or no, I didn't. I think I mentioned it a second ago. Anyhow, I'm sorry that I'm rambling a bunch. I'll probably go like that. Yeah, that's probably where it goes in terms of shape. Like that. Alright. So now that the basic shape is done, we have to do the roofs. Which, for this, is a little more my style. I'm used to doing these kind of roofs. And it's pretty basic how they do these. So I'm gonna do... I think that's right. Because there's a big old slant to this roof. And again, this turret front's fairly flat. I might have to bring up one of my Baltimore turrets for a second, which I'll pause the stream to go look at it. But I'm not at the stream, but you know, the recording. I'm gonna go look at it. Turret roof's pretty simple in shape. That's literally it when it comes to turret roof shape. You can use stairs if you want, but I'm not going to here. And I'm gonna go take a look at the turret, so I will be very hastily returning to you guys for this video real quick. Alright guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. And I reminded myself that I can actually use my own stuff as reference, and I just saw what I did actually need. Which was, instead of that, I go like that. And just, I use a wall instead, because it gives the curve a little better of a shape. And usually, I think I pair that with trapdoors all around the back here. Yeah. It gives the turret shape a little better cohesion. I could actually change this to... Oh, where's the trapdoor? That. And here's the front, which is usually the part that gets tricky because of this kind of slope area. It would be easier if I had a like this kind of shape, which it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It has a very shallow front like the Baltimores kind of do. And this is where you get to me screwing around with design stuff. Although, theoretically, because I have this wall now. Yeah, it looks fine. And trust me, next time you see this turret, it's going to look different again. Just how I do things. It's annoying, even for me. Yeah, that probably works with slabs. I mean, trapdoors. And it's a fairly big turret, I would say. But almost all triples are. Yeah, that slab, that slope looks better to me. Then I put that there. Alright. Actually, I usually use carpets there just to even it out. Yep. And now we're going to do the guns. Are pretty easy. I'm using 6-inch guns because that's what the French used. And I like to always set mine back behind some sort of cover. Luckily here, I don't really have to. And these should be 6 barrel. Yep, 6 in length. Which I will do something real quick to make that easier for the middle gun. And these barrels also have fairly decent shrouds when it comes to size. So if I go look, yeah, these have big old shrouds. So shrouds are pretty easy to do. You can do them a couple ways. That's how they would kind of look on this one, at least for just the top part. And then you got to get trapdoors and what carpet. And this is the basic version. I'll show you in a sec what I mean by basic version. And the chances are I'm just going to keep to very basic shroud. Like that. It's not even going to cover the full thing. I don't usually like using shrouds on my guns. Although I can keep the stairs. I think that's good enough for these shrouds, is at least this part. And I did it wrong. Yeah. That's decent enough for now. Alright, now I'm going to show you what I like to do to get these things evened up, I guess. So, the specific way I like to do turrets means that I will do half and half on a turret. What that means is I need to add something first. Spotlight. Yeah, that's good. Although I should probably do stairs up front here if I'm gonna do spotlight right there. Yeah, that looks fine. Although I think the back's too long. The back is definitely too long. I forgot on this ship that the slope is actually pretty long on these guys. So that's my bad. And it does mean I can actually do something else with these, which is here. And that gives the slope a little more normal shape, I can say, I guess. Makes the shape make a little more sense. And to save space, I have a little technique I do to make it so the turrets look right. So there's 2 variants of the turret in this case. And so one thing I am going to do is put the spotlight back. It's like right here. Oh no, it's a little farther up. It's closer. Right here. All right. Next, I need to split, and I'll say this half right here is the rangefinder half. So to do it, going to have to delete this corner entirely, which is a little funky. And these guys are kind of like on a pole. So, Yeah, this is a little funky of a rangefinder. And I would probably use a head here, but I don't think one would look right. How wide of a rangefinder is this? It's not very wide. I am wondering what kind of block I can put to attach this. Because it is a funky rangefinder. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. That is interesting, to say the least, on how they did these rangefinders. I wonder if I can do... No, wait, that's actually smaller, so I need a 40. Ooh, no, that's not good. Not good at all. Something like that would probably be okay. This rangefinder is really funky. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. SDS. Actually, I know what I can do. I can just do that for the start. It needs to connect, so I can either do that or I can do a wall with carpet on the top, which is still going to look exactly the same. I don't know why I thought of that. There. That's what we're going to do for now with this rangefinder. Or, yeah. I think I'm going to keep it as... This is a funky rangefinder. That's all I got to say about this thing. So yeah, that's the one side. And I would love to show turret interiors right now, but I don't think I have the capacity. I got a little bit of editing out to do, because... Yeah, I guess. And I'll add one more thing to this turret, other than the fact it is... I need to set its size, so it goes back here. It's right here, 27. That's wrong. 9. So it needs to be an 11 by 11, which I can do really easy with the magic of string. And that should be an 11 by 11 now. Yeah, it's 11 by 11, which makes me wonder how wide it is if I give it the rangefinder. 11. Okay, actually, it's perfectly fine. That's the right size. One more thing I need to do is the secondaries, which I don't think are going to be very hard on this ship. I've seen what they look like, and they're pretty simple. And I guess my recap for making guns, while I'm over here at the big one, make sure they look natural. Make sure they don't look a little weird. Look at their top profile. That's how you kind of learn to do this curve back here. As you look at the top profile, if I did anything like... I could theoretically do that, but you'd notice the profile doesn't have the curve in, which is why you do the wall. You do the wall right here because it has the profile curve in. And then look at it from the side. Does it look too short? Does it look too long? Look at it from the front. Does it have a good front-facing profile? That is literally how you do these turrets. And now I gotta do the secondaries. So I would do... Actually, I can do 2 different size secondaries, because they use 2 different... if I remember, they use 100 millimeters. Ah, shoot. Don't do this now. Alright, so sorry about that. This thing uses 90 millimeters as its secondary, so I'm going to do 4-inch guns. And, I'm going to do floor mounted in the way. So, I'm just going to get a basic shape here. Their side profile is a little funky. They're tiny. They're not very big guns. Yeah, there's a turret, but point stands. So I'll probably do... Yeah. I'll do this. And with these guns, I'm going to be real. I do not give them much in the way of protection. These are secondaries. I don't really care about them as much when it comes to protecting my crew. If you get stuck in a secondary on my ship, that's your fault. My bad. That's your fault. You gotta deal with it. I'm sorry. Not much I can do to help you. Do they have a slanted roof? No, they don't. That's a flat roof. Ooh. That's a bit weird. These turrets are really, really flat. Not something I'm used to. I can... How did I do this on the one turret? I had a turret that I actually did this right on. Nah, that's not it. Point is, there was supposed to be a vision port here. I guess I could do it like that. And then trapdoor these two hatches. And from the interior, they look fine. And then give him 3 to 5. Oh, 3 to 5 inch stuff. So this needs to have a recoil. Oh, shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the basic secondary. Like these things are really kind of lackluster. I mean, they're technically a little bigger, but I don't really have the space to fit. If you want these things to fit, you're not going to make them a little bigger. It's just how it is. If you want to give them a little extra look like I do, use a class 1.5 block here to make it look like it's kind of on a swivel. That's as much as you can really do with that gun. It's not... It's tiny. Has its hatches. Then the double version is just a really wide version of it. So that is actually something we can make a little more fancy. And yeah, it does have an open top, which sucks, but you gotta deal with. But here we go for the double variant. It is really wide, which is kind of weird. This is one of those ones you wouldn't expect to be really wide. From personal experience, I would say that, yeah, you wouldn't expect this guy to be wide. It should be the same size, roughly. Side profile-wise, that is. It has the weird, like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's used to store ammo. It also curves unlike the other one. So it does... Oh, I did that wrong. It does this. With the roof, too. It's a funky little turret. I'm a little surprised about it, but, you know, it goes how it goes. This is probably going to be the lowest quality video out of all the series, by the way. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This one's not my greatest, but at the same time, that's just how it is. I'm not gonna lie to myself. 30, 40. Actually, I can make this one longer. So I will actually put these guys back in carriages. Just look at which is what I usually like to do. Let's give them carriages. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give them stairs. Quartz. Trapdoor. Makes the floor moves with them. Except for the front right there. And I'd like to give these guys breaches, but I don't think I can fit. I could, but it would look bad, so no. And that is essentially it for today's video. I know it wasn't as polished as the last one. It wasn't as streamlined as the last one, but I guess I somewhat enjoyed recording it. And there's your to go in order: boiler, engine room, engines. Yeah, these things were weird to build. Main gun with 2 halves. Secondary gun, because there's 2 different secondaries used on this ship. And I will see you guys next time. I know it probably sounded a lot more quiet, a lot more less energetic, but it's sometimes, that's how it goes. And I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all guys later. I'll probably record next week. Not sure. All right, bye.